welcome to Scrappin with Sheri. I am loving December with all the fun stuff to do, and I'm loving it that Creative Memories virtual crop sketches are working out perfectly for some of the pages that I want to do before Christmas actually hits. So we're going to do sketch number 2 today. This one is really simple. We've got a couple of straight cuts and some squares that we can use our square punch for. They're 1 3/4 inch squares. So I think this one is going to go pretty quickly. You know, I say that a lot and it doesn't. But I'm going to be using this background. All of this is from Christmas Charm. But I'm using this green background as the base. I'm going to be using this holly paper for this 5.5 inch mark here. And I'm doing that because that pulls in my reds and my greens, which will give me a little more flexibility when it comes to adding more colors. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those two 5.5 inch pieces. And 5.5 inches is right out to the edge of your trimmer. That's going to leave me one little skinny piece left, about an inch, but I'm sure I can use it as a border somewhere else down the road. So we've got those two 5.5s. Now let's look back at our sketch. We've got two little 1/2 inch pieces on either side of that. And I'm going to do that using my cranberry cardstock. Those are 1/2 inch, which is your first line right here on this side. And because I'm going to do a double spread, I'm going to cut 4 of these. I think this one's going to be a really pretty page. And if you use all the pieces from one collection, you could really do this quickly because all the colors are going to coordinate well. That's kind of what I decided to do. Now they've butted this first 1/2 inch right up against the edge of the page. And I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to break up some of this green we've got going on here, but also my photos and matting will change that some too. So we're just going to add those. Add a stripe there. Then we're going to put this holly paper right up against that. And then we're going to add one more stripe right up against the holly. If you didn't mind wasting paper, you could just make a red background and mat the holly on it rather than dealing with these little strips. Oh man, look how pretty that is already. So let's go ahead and do our opposite side. I am going to make these mirror images of one another just because I feel like this layout lends itself to that very easily. And it's not such a ton of work that it's going to be overwhelming to do it twice and mirror. I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but my cranberry is just a touch longer than my pages, than my background papers. So I'll probably have to snip that off at the very end. Then we're going to go back and add our holly paper. Yeah, I'm finding something is not quite straight over here. It's not feeling just right. Oh, that's it right there. I kind of got it scooted in just a little bit in the middle. And that caused the paper to not want to lay straight. All right. Sometimes you just need to turn it a little bit to get a different perspective. All right. So even if you did the sketch just like that, how beautiful is it already? I just think that holly is so, so pretty. And I've kind of debated back and forth about what to use for my squares. I had this paper left from one of the other layouts, and I kind of like it, but I don't think that it's going to be my favorite on this. I did also look at using the Christmas trees on here, and that might be pretty for some of those squares. Let's just try a couple of those and see how it works. I do want to flip my square maker over because I want to get as much of Christmas trees as possible without cutting through the center of something. So if we use the Christmas trees, they're not going to show up a whole lot on this. You know what? This may be one of those that we do very similarly to the circle one we did earlier. We might just want to go back and do squares of our solid colors and then do some embellishing. 3. Let me just try this. Now, I know those cranberry ones are not going to show up great against my cranberry stripe, but I do think it's going to be okay. I've got some scraps of this green. We'll see how many we can get out of it. I've got just a little glitch there, but I think I can make that work once I do some embellishing. Gotta love it when those scraps work out for you. I think we've used up that sheet of paper. Let's go ahead and cut a few more of the cranberry, because I do think that's the way we're headed with this. It's interesting to me that this sketch and the other sketch use these punches that we don't see getting a lot of love, but they're very useful. One, two, three, four, five, six. So they've got 6 squares on here. And I'm going to do this a lot like I did the circles, or the stripes on the last sketch. Start at top and bottom, and then just kind of work my way in. And I'm kind of evenly spacing top and bottom. And again, if you don't get these exactly even, it's not the end of the world. Probably no one will ever notice except you. And you're not going to tell anybody. And you know, as soon as I say that, mine are way off. We are going to be doing some overlapping with some pictures here, so it's going to be fun. All right, and on the opposite side, I think I'm going to start with the green on top, just to make it opposite. I'm trying to get that spacing about the same. Here again, once we get our pictures and our embellishments on there, you will never be able to tell how things are spaced or not. And if you want to, this is a great place to use your zero centering ruler or your 13-inch mat to make it more precise. I think for me, I hate taking the time to measure everything when I know I'm going to be covering a lot of it up anyway. All right, so now the whole basic design of this is finished. All we've got left is to add the pictures and a few embellishments. So let me go ahead and pull out the pictures that I've printed. And I pulled this season's greeting because I did like it. I thought it looked pretty with that. I've got this tag, and this is from the December Days collection where you could make the little tags for each day. I pulled that in case I need it, but I'm not set on having to have it. And I've printed my pictures with their white borders. I'm just going to do some trimming up real fast. And I did look at the sketch. They did 3.5 by 5.5 again. I went ahead and did the 4 by 6, knowing I could trim down a little bit on some of them. And this was a trip we took to American Village, which is a little historical village in Alabama, about an hour and a half or so from where we live. I treated my husband to lunch and a tour here on December the 12th. We went down and we got to look over the colonial village, and then they served us a really nice lunch. And while we ate, we had a visit from Alexander Hamilton's wife, Eliza. This is her. She was in character. She walked around and told us about Christmas in the 1800s and what their family did. And we thought that was really fun. This is I had screenshotted the information sheet when I bought the tickets. I didn't have an actual physical ticket to put in here. So I just made a screenshot that told me what it was about, what we did. There are lots more pictures of this event that were just, there was a little show. We had vignettes that we went to in different buildings. And I may or may not put those pictures in the Christmas album. It was more historical rather than, well, it had a good bit of Christmas element too. I may go ahead and put it in the Christmas album. I don't know. But I did want to get all of the dining pictures, particularly on this page. Now you see this picture I printed small and I printed it large. And I feel like I'll use the large one. But the smaller one I can use to go in my happy album, where I just put snippets of what we do during the course of the month. So I'm not going to throw that one away because it will be used later. All right, so we've got them all trimmed down. Now from here, I want to just glance back at the sketch and see how they laid theirs out, and then we will ignore that and do our own thing. But they've got a vertical here, horizontal here, and then some smaller ones, or a smaller one. They've used 3 whole pictures on this page. You know, that doesn't sit well with me. But I did go ahead and print a couple of horizontal just to give me that ability. I've got this vertical. I've got this that shows us in the dining area. I've got Miss Eliza. Really don't have a ton of pictures. Not without printing those extra ones of the vignettes. And you know what? It may be such that I could do that. This was the full Christmas tree here. And then there was another Christmas tree later. So this I may want to add here with our details about what we did that day. I am thinking that these are kind of busy. And perhaps we need to add some color behind them. I'm liking the way that picture kind of frames onto these squares we've got on the side, and I could scoot those out a little bit. So let's go ahead and pull, I think, some cranberry behind those. So we'll have double matting on those pictures. And as I say that, I'm looking, I actually think the green might be prettier because we've already got the big cranberry stripes. So let's try the green behind them. Yeah, I think that's going to be prettier. It's going to give us a little bit more contrast. Yeah, this is pretty. This was just a really pretty place, and their decorations were just so simple, but very elegant. We had a really nice time. Now this one, my scrap is not quite big enough, but I should be able to weld the scrap and make it work. I don't think I've done any welding in a while. I just stick my 2 pieces of paper right up against each other. Then add my picture over the seam. And then cut that down. Perfect way to use up scraps. Particularly when you're working with the same colors over and over, because this would make a great welding piece down the road even. I'll trim that up just a touch more. Even that up. All right, let's see where we are, because I may just have to print more pictures of this. do like the green here. I think that was a better choice than using the red again. And I'm already thinking in my head, okay, if I print other pictures, do I want all the eating pictures on this side of the page? And then do the vignettes that we went to on the opposite side? Maybe that's the way I need to go with this. This could actually be considered part of the vignette because they had a mock-up of the Oval Office. That was pretty fun to see. And that patriotic tree was in the Oval Office. My husband got to sit behind the desk. There were a lot of people on our tour, so we didn't take a long time there at the Oval Office, but we did get some pretty pictures. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to print some more pictures, add them on, and we'll get a lot more pictures on this page than the sketch showed us. But we have been true to the basic elements. Now I can scoot these around. I've got a lot of room to maneuver here to not cover up the squares. I do have this that tells what we actually did that I would like to include. Maybe I'll add that right down there at the bottom and then put Miss Eliza there. Or maybe because I've got so much to cover up there, I should add this in here. If you've noticed when I'm doing videos, I do a lot of printing of things that we visit like this. It just saves me a lot of time journaling. I don't necessarily love to journal. If there's something specific I feel like needs to be journaled, I will. But for events where I've got a ticket or I've got some information about the place, just screenshotting that and printing it is fantastic. And my friend Susanna had asked a question after I showed how to use the Epson PM400. She said, well, can you get the app and then send that to your size your pictures on your app and then save those and send them to your regular printer? Absolutely. I did look into that after she asked the question and found that yes, indeed, you can do that. There's a place after you click print that will allow you to actually save that as a JPEG. And if you save it as a JPEG, you should be able to upload that to any regular printers, to Creative Memories, to your local printers, whatever you use for printing your photos. Now look how pretty that is already. All right, let me just pause a second and print a few more pictures, and then we'll be ready to complete these 2 pages. So I'm going to tell you, this process of printing pictures ended up being decidedly more involved than I thought it would. So I did go ahead and print some from the Oval Office. I already had this one, and I added this that tells about the replica of the Oval Office. But in printing the pictures from some of the vignettes, man, there were just such great pictures. There was also a veteran shrine there. There was a Liberty Bell. There were so many things. I wanted to write about this because it was hilarious. And even using peekaboo pockets, it was just going to be too much for a 2-page spread to keep any kind of remnant of the design element. So I decided that this is one of those events that's just going to have to go to 4 pages. I tried the best I could even to get the peekaboo pockets to work, and I just couldn't make it work without it being extremely bulky. So I went ahead and printed this picture of the front of the chapel. I just thought that was really pretty. And then I put the Oval Office things in. I'm going to stick this one down as is. And then I want us to add the embellishments. And we'll call this done for now. This will go on to be another 2-page spread at some point when I get back to it again. But I really wanted the Christmassy parts of it in there. The chapel is not necessarily Christmas per se, but I just thought it was pretty. So these embellishments came from the Christmas Charm collection as well. And I really just wanted to put the ornaments on there because we've got the trees with the ornaments. And I thought they would be pretty. I pulled all of the ornaments I have left. Because they're embellishments, I don't have to do anything to them to make them ready to stick. And what I really want to do is just kind of scatter them here and there just to give a festive feel and to cover up some of that, the starkness, I guess, of having just the cardstock for the squares. I don't necessarily think the cardstock for squares is a bad thing. It just seems a little bland to me, I suppose is the good word. And by adding some of these ornaments on there, then I'm taking away some of that, the bland. And just adding some color, some pattern. I like the look. Now, I did start thinking about journaling. I mean, this tells what we did. I'll put the date on here for sure. But I think the bulk of the journaling will come with the vignettes because that was such a memorable part of what we saw and did. I'm just going to add this here. Now, this would be a good little spot if I wanted to go back and journal. Or I could go back and add some stickers, embellishments, something like that. I think at this point, I'm just going to leave it. I've already got words over here. I don't really need anything else. So we're going to call this page finished. I do think I like it. I may throw just a tiny bit of journaling down there, but I think I'm going to leave it as is. I think I like the look of it. And then I'll do most of the journaling on the next 2-page spread that comes with this. But this is the December virtual crop sketch number 2. We did it as a double spread. So we've completed 2 of these crop sketches, and we've still got some December left. So until I see you next time, happy scrapping.